Story 1 shared by Sanser. Husband wants to go full raw. So a bit of background information. I 30F have been out of work for the past 2 years because of social and task-related ineptitude of which I'm trying to gain disability for. But as of right now, my husband, 30M, is the sole breadwinner between the two of us. We've discussed off and on about kids, and I have expressed that I want to eventually, while he was uncertain for a while, but recently told me that after giving it some thought, he doesn't think he'd be capable of the responsibility that comes taking care of a baby. Though the biggest factor for him is the financial requirements to do so just isn't feasible for us right now. My husband and I have a great sex life. We are quite compatible and listen to each other's needs and kinks, and there's a deep love that binds our hearts and souls together. We started out as high school sweethearts, timid yet curious about sex, to maturing into a devoted, sex-positive couple. We started being very cautious at 19 by using both condoms and the pill, which I'm on for PCOS. I take it every day, but the R varies. And having him pull out before he finished ... basically any precaution we could take to avoid getting pregnant young. Then when we got married, we became a bit more relaxed and started going sans condom at the beginning of our activities and then having him cover before we get into it. At first we did this while still having him pull out for safety. Then eventually we began growing comfortable with him finishing inside me with the condom on. I'm on the pill the entire time still. All this to lead up to the main problem. A few days ago we started getting frisky and he tells me that he fantasized and thought about what it would be like to come inside me without the condom on ... I had mixed feelings because on one hand I'm curious to and want that close bonding experience. But I also grew concerned about the drawback of the potential for pregnancy. So we both agreed the risk outweighed the curiosity and used a condom and the pill as usual. But now my mind keeps thinking about it and I really want us to experience that level of intimacy. But I don't want to trap him with a baby he may not be ready for. He's assured me if something happened that was unplanned, we'd figure it out, but I still would feel guilty in the process. And I'm trying to go about this in a responsible way and not playing into the stereotyped welfare mamas with my disability, which working from home sucks as a stereotype, by the way. Is there any hope, or will we have to resign ourselves to keeping things as they are? Story 2 shared by Du from Chicago. I guess quick orgasms aren't always a compliment. Alright, I need to get this off my chest. I'm 28. And my entire life I've been stuck in this weird loop where my sexual partners think they're sex gods just because I come really quickly. Multiple times, like, they feel like absolute rock stars, and I get it, I really do. It must feel like a massive ego boost. But here's the reality. It's not because they're amazing or even good in bed, it's because my body is just super sensitive, and basically, anything inside me will trigger an orgasm. Yup, that's it. It's not their mind-blowing technique or performance. In fact, most of the time, their skills were pretty average, or even below average, if I'm being honest. And the worst part, whenever I tried to tell them, like, hey, maybe you should try this or that, or literally give them any kind of direction to make it more enjoyable for me, they'd brush it off. Because why listen to me when I'm obviously having a great time, right? I mean, I'm coming, so that must mean they're killing it, right? It's so frustrating because they never felt the need to improve or explore more because of those damn orgasms. And then I'm left feeling unsatisfied, even though it looks like I'm having the time of my life. How do you even explain to someone that what they see as proof of their skill is just my body being overly reactive and has nothing to do with how good they actually are? Does anyone else deal with this? Or am I just cursed with a hypersensitive body and partners who stop giving a damn because they think they've mastered it? Ugh. Story 3 shared by Jack. Sexy hotel nights, the solution that isn't a solution. My wife 38F and I 3AM have been together 15 years. We have a 7-year and 4-year daughter. We have had a borderline dead bedroom since she first got pregnant 8 years ago. We have had extended droughts around pregnancy and postpartum. When our bedroom has recovered, it hasn't averaged more than once a month. About 9 months ago, we had a couple of talks. That didn't change anything significant, and it did blow up a bit about 4 months ago. We did go do a couples counseling session, but we had cleared the air before then. We still went to the couples counseling session, but haven't returned. We still might go back, but timing of the sessions was an issue, and we haven't pursued sorting that out. One of the things that came out of the session was she needs to feel connection before she can get in the mood for sex. One of the things she said was, I need to be wined and dined before I am in the mood for sex. I appreciate that, but also would point out I can't remember any times we have gone out on a date and come back for sex at our house. We would always get home and it would be too late, too tired, too much alcohol. My wife did talk about how her perfect date involves going to a hotel for the night. Having the hotel space turns her on, puts her in the mood. That is great, but it is hard to organize and is expensive. We have done that a few times, but it is expensive and hard to make a regular thing, and probably only possible to 2-3 times a year. I am at a bit of loss of what else to do. It is a bit frustrating finding something that works, but then being constrained by money and logistics, so it can't be something that is regular. Next year, my wife is studying for a year, so our income will drop some more, making splurging on something like this even harder. Story 4. Losing RV card by doing it in the ass. Hello, I need some those about this. My GF and I are 16, from conservative families and an estate where abortion is banned, so we don't want to have PIV yet. She can't get birth control, and condom only don't makes us feel safe. But even though we have been fooling around a lot and experimenting in everything that isn't PIV, we just can't keep our hands away from each other. We are just that horny. Now my GF told me that she really wants to feel penetration, but since, like I said, we won't do PIV, she told me if I was up to try anal. So that's why I'm here. I need some those about this. Is it a good idea to have anal as your first time? Is there any major difference than having normal PIV? Do people that have done this regret it? We would appreciate your help. Thanks in advance. Story 5. Is asking for sex once a week considered a lot? I apologize for any grammatical errors. English is my second language. I am 19 and my girlfriend is 18. We've been together for 3 years and have been sexually active for quite some time. However, the issue is that I am always the one initiating any sexual interaction or asking her to touch me, which I believe should not always be the case. I think it should be more balanced, with her also initiating or expressing interest in sex. It feels less enjoyable when I have to always ask. Over the past 2 years, I can count on one hand the times she has initiated sex or expressed a desire for it. I consider myself quite sexual, but I've tried to manage my desires. We typically have private time to be intimate about 3 times a month. Sometimes, for if we're lucky, usually at my house. And it's often been at least a week or more since our last sexual interaction. Even then, she sometimes denies me sex, regardless of how long it's been, with excuses like I'm just not in the mood or we had sex last time I was here. I've expressed my concerns to her, and she says she will try to change, but nothing seems to improve. I worry about how this might be in the future if this is the case now. I still believe that having sex once a week is not excessive and shouldn't be so problematic. I'm unsure how to make her more interested. Story 6. She likes it rough and I'm the opposite. Maybe the title is misleading, so I'll try to explain. I met a girl I found on a dating app. We were having sex a couple of hours after meeting and she gave me one of the best BJ I ever had. At the same time, she didn't want me to go down on her or even touch her pussy too much. She said she was happy to give me pleasure. After a few days of talking on the phone, she said she was really waiting for some medical exams and she wasn't allowed to have sex that time. So we arranged a weekend together in 2 weeks, and she says now she's completely open for everything. She told me she likes it rough, hair pulling, spanking, and hard pinching on her nipples. I come from a very long vanilla relationship, so I'm looking for ideas and what's the usual on this type of rough play I can do to her. I haven't done anything else than some light spanking. Unfortunately, I'm not too good with PIV mix of small size plus coming to fast plus not able to get very hard for a long time with condom, so I always try to compensate with more stuff. After all the time and effort she put on me, I want to do the same or more to her. I'd appreciate techniques and advices. Story 7. Young couple facing intimacy issues. So my girlfriend 22 and I 24M have been together for years. I am starting to think she doesn't have a sex drive. In 4 years, she has never asked to have sex with me or initiate it. It has always been me initiating it. When we do have sex, she will act like it is a chore and sometimes acts annoyed. She never seems excited or into the idea of sex. She never says she's horny or expresses her desires. It's not like we don't have time, we spend countless hours a day alone with each other. She doesn't even masturbate when she's alone. To me, it seems her sex drive is non-existent. I have told her that her not initiating it or, at the very least, seeming interested and into it, makes me feel unwanted. We have had many conversations about this. She continually says she will do better to improve our intimacy, but nothing ever changes. Many of my friends explain how their girlfriends initiate sex with them and show an initiative. They talk about how their girlfriends actually get horny for them and initiate sex. I am at a loss of what to do. We are planning to get married and I fear what our sex life may be like after kids and our careers consume our schedules. Is it time for couples therapy? What can I do? Should I encourage her to talk to her doctor about her libido? Story 8. Stuck in a dead bedroom. Kind of. It hurts me to have to resort to this, but I'm at a point where I need to vent and I need to hear other people's opinions. Me 31 and my GF 33 have been together for close to 5 years now. For the first 2 years or so, our sex life was amazing. We had sex constantly and we tried a lot of things. Both of us were very excited for everything that the other proposed. 2 years in, I had some medical problems and we were unable to have sex anymore for a month or two. Since then, our sex life has collapsed almost completely and we're barely intimate anymore. She used to initiate sex, talk about sex and all the things that she wants us to try. That stopped completely. We went from having sex every few days to having sex 1 time per month. If I tried initiating sex, she would sort of play dumb, like not understanding what I'm trying to do. Any sexting attempts would also end up in dry responses from her side. She also stopped taking BC shortly after. After 6 months, I asked her what's up and if something's wrong. But she said she's just not feeling horny anymore and she doesn't know why. She assured me that it is not my fault. I told her that she might want to talk with her doctor about it, to see what could be causing it. She didn't. Another year passed and the situation hasn't changed much. We had another conversation and I told her how this made me feel. Again, she mostly said the same thing and promised that she would try to do something about it. We still only have sex about once per month, and every single time, it feels like going through a checklist. I feel like she tries to fake enjoying it, but I can tell she doesn't. She doesn't get wet at all anymore. She barely lets me go down on her and she just wants me to finish as quickly as possible. It's always missionary and that's that. I can tell the sounds she makes are not legitimate, and this has made me desire sex less and less. For me, this is ruining our relationship. She pretends that everything is fine and I can't take it anymore. I'm the type of person that requires intimate contact and without it, we're just roommates. The most frustrating thing is that outside of this, our relationship, or better said, friendship, is amazing. I want to bring this up again, but I'm not sure how to go about it without hurting her feelings. Has anybody gone through something similar? If so, how did you fix it? Story 9. I've been lying about coming and it's been a while. Help please. I have been with my boyfriend for 5 years. In those years, I can probably count on one hand how many times I've finished. It sucks because he is an amazing guy and we have a pretty good relationship otherwise. It just seems every time we have sex it ends under 5 minutes. I get off using a toy that I have introduced him to once, but he laughed at it and did not seem interested in incorporating into our sex life. I wish he would be into using toys, but he's very naive in sex and I feel like I would be pushing it if I insisted, as well as insulting him in the process. I'm just lost because he gets off every time we have sex, but I'm often saying it's okay after he apologizes after finishing quickly. I would hate to criticize him this far into our relationship. And I know I should have said something earlier, but I was so nervous to hurt his feelings and now it's too far to address as a first-time problem. Help please, advice needed. Story 10. Can bad sex between a couple get better? My GF and I are in our mid-20s and have been together for almost 3 years. She has a lot of trauma around sex because of abusive past partners. She has also gained a good amount of weight and I think is insecure in her body/fitness. She's never really initiated sex more than a handful of times, mostly when drunk. She also has never kissed me and rarely attempts to hug or other physical affection until recently. For a long time she actively rejected me or pushed me away, so I stopped initiating for the most part. I asked her to please seek therapy, but she was never ready until a few months ago. Now she has started going and she has started being more affectionate and sexual. She will sometimes initiate via making suggestive jokes or movements, but still she doesn't really reach out and touch me sexually. She doesn't like dirty talk. She doesn't do things like kiss, take off clothes, etc. Foreplay is awkward because the kissing is very one-sided and she has to take breaks to breathe after every 3 kisses or so. Chronic stuffy nose. She definitely doesn't French kiss or involve tongue. She doesn't really touch my body either, it's all me touching her. If I stop making moves or giving directions, she stops, freezes entirely. She also doesn't get wet, even with a ton of foreplay, unless she's been drinking. For a while we just had sex by me putting some lube on and just going for it in a one-sided fashion. I know that wasn't fair at all, but it was what she was offering and I had tried many methods to get her wet or turned on. I tried to always make sure she orgasms via her vibrator. I've tried fingers and oral in the past, but have never been able to make her come even with our plus-long sessions. She doesn't know how to make herself come with fingers either, so if the vibrator dies, we're out of luck. I know she has trauma, PTSD, and I've tried to be really understanding. I just don't know if there's any hope for us sexually or not and would like some advice. TLDR. My GF of 3 years doesn't really touch me or respond sexually, doesn't like dirty talk, oral, nipple sucking or kissing, and can't come with any methods besides a vibrator so far. She has PTSD and is working on it in therapy. She's trying to be more sexual and has been more affectionate otherwise. Is there hope for us? Story 11. I, 25, have been feeling deep pain during sex for 2 years and need help. Hello everyone, I already checked the fact, which I found useful, but as this is quite a serious topic for me, I feel the need to ask about other people's experiences too. So I have a retroverted uterus, which I have always been told, since young age, can cause a little bit of discomfort during sex. Even so, I never had particularly bad experiences. A bit of discomfort in doggy sometimes, but it wasn't unbearable. Since 2022, 23 years old, I have started experiencing a lot of pain during sex, especially in positions like doggy. I've had the same partner since 2021, and we didn't have these serious issues before. The pain is really intense in most positions from behind, and I also feel it slightly with front positions. It's an internal pain. In the lower abdomen, I don't have lubrication issues or similar. It's almost like he'd be hitting something that is sore. I also get quite bloated after sex. I have to say since 2022, I also started experience hormonal imbalances, anxiety, and gut issues. I wonder if these things could be related. I have already seen a gynecologist more than once. Got echographies done to check for endometriosis, don't have it. Saw a gastrointestinal doctor for another ecography to check my intestine. Everything was useless. No one saw anything. And the only thing the gynecologist could suggest is taking the pill because it could fix general inflammation. I don't want to take it though, as I don't like the side effects of the pills. I'm asking if anyone has similar experiences and advice. I'm at a point where I'm starting to not even want to have sex anymore. Even if I have orgasms and my partner is quite supportive and loving, I just don't live it as a nice experience anymore. Thank you to all smiley face.